The Democratic version of it is a new Tea Party, but it's on steroids.
The Blue Tea Party is officially real, and it's about time if you ask me. Like a phoenix, one of our fighters is rising from the ashes to join the movement, and the establishment, from MAGA all the way to Schumer, are absolutely terrified of what's coming. Because when you look at the numbers, this is already way bigger than what the Republicans mustered back in 2010.
Look at where we are now with Democrats in terms of them approving their own members of Congress. It's actually below 50%. Democrats dislike their party more than Republicans did during the Tea Party wave of 2010. Just 47% of Democrats now approve of their own party in Congress. As I said, it's a new Tea Party, but it's a Tea Party on steroids.
And we're seeing the impact it's having on some Democratic incumbents.
Absolutely the case. You know, if you look at the number of Democratic incumbents, House incumbents who have gone down to defeat, it's actually higher in the House than it was back in 2010. House incumbents who lost primaries for Republicans back in 2010, it was 1, 2. You can count it on one hand. But in 2026 so far, it's already 5. It's already 5. You have to use up all the digits on your one hand. It's 5 so far.
All right, when we're talking about some of the specific races where incumbents might be in trouble?
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of races where they might be in trouble. How about Missouri 1, right? There's a possibility. How about a Michigan 13? That's a real possibility in terms of a House Democrat going down to defeat. And then in Connecticut 1 as well, another real possibility. And this is just what we've been seeing over and over and over again.
There are a lot of corpo Dems on the chopping block, and according to CNN, the next in line was Wesley Bell. AIPAC put $13 million behind him to beat Cori Bush last cycle, and that was considered a huge blow to the left. But now that Cori is one of the few congressional candidates supported by the DSA on a national level, there is a good chance that she wins this. We know that because of how terrified AIPAC is. They spent millions to take her out last time in one of the greatest political hit jobs the establishment ever pulled off. But this time, it doesn't seem like they fully grasp how toxic Israel has become. The spokes for Justice Democrats says since they bought this seat last cycle, AIPAC has become a kiss of death to the politicians they support. They've already spent nearly $1 million just on running ads against Cori. Last time they tried to say that she was some sort of criminal for hiring her security guard husband to be a security guard for her. But now they're having to resort to hiring black folks to robotically read a script while pushing the lazy black woman narrative.
Remember Cori Bush in Congress? She missed 235 votes, more than almost anyone. Rated among the least effective Democrats in Congress, Cori Bush even voted against the infrastructure bill that brought thousands of jobs to St. Louis.
Organized labor worked hard to support Cori Bush, but once elected, she turned her back on us.
We've given her a chance, and she did not deliver for St. Louis.
Cori Bush, a no-show for St. Louis. UDP is responsible for the content of this app.
You can tell by the way their eyes were glazed over and the flatness of their voices that even those men don't believe that garbage. Knowing how these ads are made, those were probably just actors, not even in the manufacturing business. That's not the only ad agency coming after Cori either. Another so-called Democratic PAC has spent another $1 million just to try to take her down. What they don't seem to realize, though, is that the more money they spend, the better they make her argument sound.
When I think about our communities and what our communities need. So why are people still sleeping on the street? Why are people housing insecure? Why are people still standing in line at food pantries waiting for the doors to open?
Right.
You know, we still have so many issues in our communities that can be solved with more money, human will, prioritizing, and institutionalizing humanity. But instead, this money is going into campaigns, especially in blue districts. It's going into campaigns. It's going into Democratic races. It's like, who do you prioritize? Like, who do you really care about?
Right.
If you can spend millions upon millions of dollars and saying that it's for the community, saying it's for a better candidate, when the better candidate is the one saying, no, don't, we don't need to put all of this money into races. We need to put that money on the ground in my community.
That is what they're trying to make sound radical: healthcare and housing. And the establishment and elite don't seem to understand that this is what Americans want. Voters might not fully understand what democratic socialism is, but when they hear us speak, they sure like what we have to say.
But, she is part of this administration. I just want to read this.
Yes.
Trump refused to sign a bipartisan housing bill that would help build more homes and lower the price. They implemented sweeping tariffs that have raised the cost of groceries and household goods, had proposed to defund affordable care and Planned Parenthood. So these are the things that people want. And the Trump administration is taking it away from people, which is why this so-called democratic socialism, which is really just a buzzword for democracy and affordability, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think that they have bastardized the word, and now they're pulling people commies. It is the sign of a sinking ship. The Republicans are going down the toilet, and they know it. So they're pulling out these stupid cards like they're calling Democrats communists. Give me a break.
That's why they have to make up lies for their ads and make up statistics like least effective, even though it means nothing. Their usual MO is fear-mongering. MAGA spent nearly a decade perfecting that strategy, but against democratic socialism, it just sounds absolutely ridiculous.
We need to explain to people what socialism is. We have a great investigative unit on Saturday in America. We've done a deep dive into these DSA folks. They want to build a coalition of religious people with socialist values to defeat Christian nationalism. What is Christian nationalism? Okay. They want to defeat the moral fabric of this country, rip up Article 1, no Senate, rip up Article 3, no Supreme Court. When you end judicial review, you end the Supreme Court. They want non-citizen voting, no electoral college. They want to change the fabric of this country, rip up the constitutional foundation of America. That is what socialism is. And we need to educate people, to Lisa's point.
32-hour work week, too. And new Green Deal. We should add that.
There's something so hilariously undeniable about this movement. We are seeing unprecedented political upsets happening at a breakneck speed. And it's so obvious when we live in what is supposed to be a great empire, and it's really a scam wearing government's clothes. We need working class folks like Cori Bush, who understands what it takes to live in America.
Couldn't figure out, how do we send 11,000 people to the streets? How do we send 7,000 of those people in my district to the streets, and I'm their representative and I know this is possible? And on top of that, because I slept on the streets myself, because I was unhoused, living in a car with my 2 babies at one point in my life, and I would close my eyes just for a couple hours at night, just to get a little sleep, because I couldn't sleep too long, because I didn't want my kids to die in the middle of the night, because the temperature would drop so low. Even in the summer, it would drop so low in the car. So I had to do something. And so I want to say shout out to you for jumping in so fast and just understanding that we got to show up for people we don't know. We got to show up for people even when it's not acceptable, when we don't have the permission. We didn't have when we were out there, we didn't have permission.
That's right. They have no idea what is coming for them. There won't be anything to stop this blue tsunami, and it is going to be way bluer than they think. Subscribe to U.S. Democratic Socialists and check out your local DSA chapter. I'm Tony Hinderman, and I'll catch you next time.